Hi guys, welcome back. Thought I'd put out a bit of fitness content. For those that are new subscribers to the channel, we've kind of got a couple of different directions that this channel tends to go in. We do a bit of fitness content, generally about sort of middle-aged and trying to get fit and healthy in middle age and just trying to stay in good shape. And then there's also a lot of stuff on the kind of tactical side of things and yeah, EDCs and all that kind of thing. We've been touching on firearms law and knife law lately. This is really a lifestyle channel and it's just a mishmash of all the bits and pieces I'm into. So fitness wise, I want to talk today about some of the things that people generally do when they want to get fit, especially in middle age, that I don't think are worth doing at all. Or there may be a caveat to that, you know, that they've got some benefits, but they're not actually going to help you to dramatically change your body composition. They're not going to help you lose lots of body fat, for example, and they're not going to help you put on any significant amounts of muscle. They may have some other benefits, which we will discuss. So these are the things I commonly hear people talk about, and I kind of think some of them are a bit of a cop-out, and that's probably another reason that they don't work too well. So in middle age, what I hear a lot of people say, you know, they've got a bit of middle age spread going on. They're not feeling very healthy. They think that they need to do something to kind of sort things out and get in shape. And one of the first things they'll say is, well, I'm just going to try and eat a bit more healthy. That on the face of it sounds like a great idea, doesn't it? But what tends to happen is because they're not restricting themselves in any manner, all they end up doing is kind of adding a couple of healthy meals per week. And I see people at work do this, you know, they bring in a couple of salads and stuff, but they don't change anything else about their diet. And in some cases, they're just adding to their diet. So they've got all this unhealthy stuff that they're eating. And then they think that by adding a few vegetables or by adding some salads or some fruits, that that's going to balance things out. And they've actually just increased their calorie intake. Even if they remove some of the unhealthy stuff to, you know, make way for some of the good choices they're making, and let's say they have 2 or 3 good meals a week and they've swapped those out for the bad meals, yes, you could say that that's kind of moving in the right direction, but it's never going to be enough to see any sort of dramatic body changes. You're probably going to lose no weight whatsoever, and, you know, you're not going to be fitter as you know, you would have to have a pretty terrible diet that was completely 100% processed rubbish for the addition of a couple of meals of vegetables or fruits to actually have any sort of benefit to health. You would be bordering on malnourished if that was a benefit. So if you're going to make a dietary change, you know, have a good think about it. And I've got diets on here. If you go into the sections on, you know, lifestyle and lifting and all that, you will see if you want to become a member, you would have even more access to the diets. It's only £2 a month, but you will see there that the diet is very regimented. Yes, it's not massively exciting, but this is about making significant changes to your body. And then you get a cheat day once a week. So that's when you can have your naughty food, ice creams, chips and all that kind of thing. The rest of the time, you know, it's like 98% of your time you're eating healthy foods. That's the reality. That's what you need to be doing to make these body composition changes. If you do it the other way round and you're 98% junk, 2% good food, nothing's going to change whatsoever. And generally speaking, when people do that, they fall off of that idea pretty quickly because they don't see any positive changes. Nothing really happens. So then the other things that people tend to do, I hear a lot is, oh, you know, I've been told by my doctor I need to lose some weight or I need to do some exercise. I'm just going to do a bit of swimming. And for some reason, people kind of see swimming as a bit of an easy way out in exercise terms. I'm not quite sure why that is, but swimming is not the greatest thing for losing body fat. For a start, you lose out completely on any thermogenic effect you might get. So when you run or you go out on a bike or you do anything in a gym, you're working up a sweat, and as your body heats up, you're actually mobilizing, you know, fat cells to be used and burnt off, not burnt off, but utilized, and they get smaller. So that has a fat burning effect in itself. water cools your body like 20 times more efficiently than air does. So you're not going to get that thermogenic effect in most swimming pools unless you're swimming around in some kind of superheated cauldron. So you're missing out big time there. It's also very difficult in terms of swimming to swim hard enough and long enough for you to get any sort of form of like significant anaerobic effect, to have a significant effect on VO2 max, or any of those other measurements of the cardiovascular system. So in effect, all you're going to be doing is creating a slight calorie deficit. Now, bear in mind what happens when you come out of a swimming pool. If any of you have been swimming, if you're anything like me, you come out of it and you're, for some reason, you are starving hungry. Like, I remember this when I used to go as a kid. I used to come back and I was absolutely famished, and I would literally eat any carbohydrate I could find. I haven't been swimming for a long time, but I know the people that still go sort of tell me that they're absolutely starving afterwards. I don't know why that is. You know, that tends to derail the calorie deficit that they've just created from the swimming. So that isn't great either. Then there's the fact that swimming often enough can be quite difficult, because normally people have got to travel to a pool somewhere. There's a whole rigmarole involved around, you know, getting undressed, going to the changing rooms, doing all this stuff. So it takes quite a lot of time out of your day. You can't just suddenly jump in something in the back garden and jump back out again. Maybe if you're rich, you can, great. But for most people, going swimming is maybe 2 to 3 hours of time out of your day. So that's probably going to limit them realistically to maybe doing it once or twice a week. And then if anything comes up in the week that's, oh, you know, someone needs a lift, a family member or something, they've got something on that day, that's going to negatively impact on your exercise time. So you're probably not even going to make the swimming pool that day. Another one is competitive sport like squash. So I've heard a few people sort of say, right, I need to get fit, I'm going to start playing squash. This is actually one of the most dangerous ways that you can look to lose body fat. And you may, in fact, lose a lot of body fat, because you might end up dying and you will lose it real quick that way. If you look at the statistics, a hell of a lot of people end up having cardiovascular related events on the squash court. That's because it is a very fast-paced game, and there isn't really a way to slowly work up to it. So if you start something like running or cycling, or you're on your exercise bike at home, you can start at a low pace, and that's good because it gives your body a chance to acclimatize. You know, you can slowly get the heart getting, you know, used to that kind of work, and the body's making adjustments all the time. You go on the squash court, the ball's going to travel very fast no matter what. You're probably training against someone who may be like a friend from the office or someone you know. There's going to be that healthy level of competition there that you both want to win. You don't want to make yourself look bad. So suddenly you're really, really stretching yourself. You're overdoing it to the max. And that's where these problems occur. People that haven't done a jot of exercise in like 30 years, and then they're sprinting around at absolutely full tilt, running into walls and stuff. And then, funnily enough, you know, they don't get on very well doing that. So I would suggest a very bad idea for someone that's just starting exercising again. If you've been exercising for some time and you think would enjoy it, that's a different story. Maybe give it a go. But again, still take it easy. You don't want to be ramping things up so quickly that you're going to put your health at risk. Then we go to the other end of the scale. I've heard some people say, oh, I need to get fit. My doctor told me that, so I'm going to take up golf. And they think that, well, golf is a very long walk, you know, and this is a real cop-out, guys. Golf is a wonderful game. I've got nothing against golf. If you just want to play golf, be honest, that's what you want to do. It has very little to do with getting fit, because no one walks around the golf course at high speed. They're sort of sauntering around. You know, you're hanging around the hole, putting and whatever. You're waiting for other people to do shots. So it's not even like a hike, you know, it's not even like a hike where you would be, say, doing, you know, 10K, and you would be keeping up quite a fast pace over that 10K. And the other problem with walking alone is that you very quickly adapt to that. So if you're completely untrained and you haven't done any exercise for years, walking can be a good beginning exercise. You know, it can get you accustomed to going out and getting the limbs moving. And maybe if you're elderly or you've got some underlying health issues, walking might be, you know, one of your only options because it's quite light on the joints. But you're not going to achieve massive body composition changes like going to a golf course 2 or 3 times a week. It's just not going to happen. And then you get to the 18th hole and all your mates are going to pressurize you to have a couple of beers, which you probably will do. And before you know it, you've put all those calories back in anyway. And then you probably go home and eat some junk because once you've had beers, what do we all want? We all want a portion of chips or something. That can actually work in the complete opposite direction. You could probably end up stacking in more calories than you've actually burnt walking round. And walking round on its own just isn't, you know, going to cut the mustard in terms of body composition. On the subject of walking, the old, oh, I'm going to do 10,000 steps a day. I keep a count on my watch. Great, keep a count on your watch. That shouldn't be looked at as a form of exercise, right? You're moving around anyway. Unless you were completely sedentary and you had something wrong with you, and then you got up, you know, after years of laying on a couch and you got up and actually did 10,000 steps a day, yes, that would be a significant improvement. But if you're an individual that's already getting up, going to work, moving around, doing things at work, looking at the end of the day at your watch and then just doing a few more steps to add it up to 10,000, all you're doing is your basic daily chores. You know, that isn't like an extra thing. That's not. And then you feel like you should reward yourself for doing 10,000 steps a day. The person who came up with 10,000 steps a day, they didn't even base that on any science. I think it was a Chinese manufacturer of these smartwatches thought 10,000 sounded like a pretty good number to give people a kind of psychological target to hit when they originally invented this pedometer function. So, you know, if you're going to look at it, great. If you're going to, you know, try and keep that up, great. But do some exercise as well, because just moving about in normal daily life isn't going to change your body composition at all. Now, I've had a few people in the comments say, oh, well, I do a lot of exercise. You know, I go for a walk with the dog. We're in the same territory as the pedometer and kind of like the golf course. Going for a walk with the dog isn't going to make you get dramatically thinner. Nothing is really going to happen. You're going to maybe maintain a bit of leg strength, etc. So again, if you're quite elderly, that might be a good thing. You know, if you weren't getting around very well and you're able to go and walk with the dog and get a bit of leg strength going on, fantastic. But if you're in middle age and you're just looking to, you know, get back into health and fitness, you should be walking the dog anyway. You shouldn't be looking for some sort of self-congratulatory pat on the back for doing what you should do with a dog, which is take it out for a walk. Take it out for a walk, then go and do your exercise. That isn't counted as a daily exercise. Now, the last one I've got is kind of controversial, and I'm sure that there's going to be some people that will freak about this, and it's yoga. So, I've heard loads and loads of ladies say, I'm going to get fit, you know, I'm going to take up yoga. And yoga is a fantastic thing if you want to improve your flexibility, if you want to improve your mindset. But bear in mind, the people that you see online that have fantastic looking bodies that are incredibly toned and they are yoga instructors, it's highly probable that they do a lot of other things as well as yoga. The yoga instructors I know also lift weights. Some of them compete in sports. You know, they have incredibly active lifestyles. And all of those things will contribute to their very, very toned physique, including some of the yoga. If you do yoga to a high enough level, i.e. you can do some of the very difficult and complicated balances that involve body weight on arms and things like that, which you would have had to have been doing yoga for quite some years to achieve many of these things. Yes, you could argue that there is an element of, you know, body strength there. There's a sort of calisthenics type thing where you're, you know, holding your body weight up. Great. But for the average person on the street, many of them will never achieve that level of yoga. And they're going to be doing all the basic things that we see in yoga classes, your downward dogs and sort of stretching up, sun salutation and all that kind of thing. that's not going to change your body composition. You're not going to go from fat to thin. You're not going to develop muscle tissue. It just isn't going to happen. Again, if you're very elderly or you've got some sort of medical problems that prevent you from doing any form of intense exercise, yoga might be your only option. So I'm not knocking those people. If that is your only option because of those limits, that's great. It's better than nothing. But if you're a middle-aged person and there's nothing wrong with you, then don't think that yoga is going to get you into shape. It's going to be a good supplement. So if you were going to go and do something at the gym, maybe you're going to go and do some cardio at the gym, say half an hour cardio, maybe on a treadmill or a bike, get a real sweat on. You're going to lift some weights and try and build a little bit of strength up. And then you're going to go and do a yoga class a bit later in the evening, or the next day you do a yoga class when you don't go to the gym. That's a fantastic pairing because you're actually getting some cardiovascular training, you're getting some strength training, and you're getting the flexibility training and maybe a bit of mind and body relaxation, you know, calming the soul and that kind of thing. So that's a really holistic approach to being a fit, healthy person. You are likely to get results from that. So I'm not knocking yoga. I'm just suggesting that if you do that on its own, for the average person, you're not suddenly going to turn into one of these super lean yoga instructors. And even if you did yoga for years and years, even then, I don't believe you're going to turn into one of those extremely lean athletic bodies just from doing that. All these things are pretty useless, you know, if you separate them out. So if you separate any of these things from diet, you're not going to have great results. The real truth here is you need to adjust your diet to have, you know, a 90+% healthy diet per week, and the rest may be, you know, cheap food. And then you need to adjust your lifestyle so that you're doing multiple training sessions a week and you're getting a cardiovascular benefit for your heart health, etc. And you're getting some kind of strength benefit so that as you get older, you're not hobbling around and you're not sort of sat in a chair and can't get up and down, can't pour the kettle or whatever. We need to be doing those things in unison, and they work really well together. So if you're eating really healthy, that will support the training that you're doing and you will get stronger. You'll start losing fat quicker. If you were only going to pick one, I would pick diet, because that is the most important thing. You can look really good just by eating a really good diet, and you could even skip the training. You may not get, you know, the great cardiovascular benefits, so that's not going to be great, but you are going to look better with just diet alone if it's on point. If you combine it with the trainer as well, that's like a ×5 approach. You know, you're going to look better 5 times quicker if you're going to do both those things at once. So instead of waiting 4 years to look better doing a diet, you're going to maybe achieve what you could in 4 years, maybe in a year or something like that. So it's definitely worth doing. The bottom line is the things that work really well also take a great level of responsibility and a great level of effort. That's why when you look at the general population, most of the people don't have a great body composition. We've got increasing levels of obesity, and we've got increasing levels of serious disease that could be prevented. If it was easy to do with a few minute sessions of yoga a week, or, you know, popping to the swimming pool once a week or whatever, then we would be a society of really lean people. Everyone would be super healthy, heart disease would be declining, diabetes would be declining. That isn't the case. Everything is getting much, much worse. So really the onus is on you. As usual, you have to take responsibility if you want good things in life, and you've got to be prepared to put the grind in. If you take shortcuts, you're going to get shortcut results. Thanks a lot, guys. I hope you enjoyed that. If you need any advice, please feel free to make contact, or check in the lifestyle and a couple of the other playlists which have all the training stuff for diet, working out in the gym. If you want to become a member, you've got even more access to those things there. You've got the full diet access and some of the comparisons between a sort of diet for an average male versus average female, all that kind of stuff as well. Please like and subscribe. Like I said, we've got a mixture of content. If you like the tactical stuff, subscribe. If you like the diet and fitness stuff, subscribe. And it will be a good blend of the two. I was going to split the channels, but I don't have the time to run 2 different channels at the moment. I might do that in the future, but right now I'm afraid it's all going to be on here. So you'll just have to deal with it. Take care, guys. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next week.